On this edition of Inside Government, Ministers Jacob and Marlin deliver back-to-school messages. Public Service Center at the new Government Administration Building nears completion, and Prime Minister Marlin welcomes back Carnival Queen Shanice Powell. All this and more ahead when 30 Minutes with Government continues. Stay tuned. Welcome to 30 Minutes with Government. I'm your host, Giselle York. We start this edition of 30 Minutes with Government with a condolence message of Prime Minister William Marlin on the demise of Queen Maxima's father. The release issued reads, Your Royal Highness, it is with great sorrow that we receive the sad news of the passing of your father on Tuesday, August 9, 2017. We pray that God will grant you the strength to bear this irreplaceable loss. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, your family, and the royal family. We join millions in the kingdom and beyond in praying that his soul may rest in eternal peace and wish you much strength and divine comfort during your time of bereavement. The release concludes, On behalf of the people and the government of St. Martin, I extend our deepest condolences to your Majesty and the royal family. Prime Minister of St. Martin, William Marlin. With the 2017-2018 school year set to begin on Monday, August 14th, Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Sylveria Jacobs, shared her back-to-school message. The minister wishes all students, parents, teachers, school management, and all those who make school possible a happy and productive school year.
On Monday, August 14th, school bells will be ringing. Children will be walking to school being dropped off by excited parents and otherwise just doing their usual. But it will be the dawning of a new day for many who will be entering the school gates for the very first time. All across Waliga, there will be children ready for the next step. As the school year 2017-18 commences, I would like to take this time to wish each and every student, teacher, parent, school management, and all who make school possible a happy and productive 2017-18, and that your hard work will bear fruition when the school year ends. The beginning of the school year is an exciting time for students, parents, and teachers. Many of you, I'm sure, enjoyed your summer vacations, had fun at your camps with family, friends, but now it's time for you to have fun while learning. The new school year will bring new challenges, new experiences, and for students, you'll be unlocking new characteristics or traits you never knew existed last year, and you will definitely be learning new skills. You'll be encountering new faces in the classroom, both as teachers as well as fellow classmates. Embrace these changes and let them see the best you that you can be. For many, it will be a completely new experience, whether it is at a new school, a transition from elementary to secondary, or moving up a grade or form. To those repeating this year, I would like to encourage you. Do not be discouraged. Utilize this, what many may consider a stumbling block, as your stepping stone to prove exactly what you're made of. Do it this time better, stronger, and show them what you're working with. For those of you who have been successful and are moving on, keep on doing what you did right and even improve on it, because I want us to create an attitude of excellence in all our schools. I want it to be such that when a parent has to put a child in a school, they don't even have to think which school to put them in because A is better than B. We would like to have on St. Martin all schools striving for excellence. To the teachers, management and staff of our various schools, I would like to encourage you to utilize your roles where you are given multiple opportunities to prepare students to be our future leaders and for you to use that influence you have for the good. Each child deserves a chance, and we know the challenges that we face. However, each day is a new day to make a difference. And I think you've heard it quite often at the end of the last school year that we do appreciate you as teachers, and we expect you to continue to put your best foot forward as you make a difference for our youth and for our future of St. Martin. To the parents, Continue to push and prod your children in the right direction. Motivate and encourage them to be the very best versions of themselves, not just in the classroom, but outside as well. And you can be the very best examples for them by actually modeling that type of behavior, studious, trying to learn, going back to school, learning via the internet, that they can follow. That's the very best example that we as parents can set for our children. To not just say what we want them to do, but actually do it too. The relationship between parents and school is the most important for your child's success. Make it your business to visit, to check in with your child's teacher, with the student care coordinators and counselors to see how your child is progressing. Your child will appreciate it, the school will appreciate it, and your child will be the biggest winners. Together, we can make a difference. Not just the students and the teachers, but parents and the community, and of course, we as government. And we pledge to continue to do all we can to make sure that each child is successful, because we aim to have schools of excellence. Let us remember, one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world. A quote by Malala Yousafzai. As Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport, I wish you, all of you, students, teachers, management, and staff, the best school year ever. Happy new school year 2017-2018.
Prime Minister of St. Martin, the Honorable William Marlin, also shared back-to-school remarks as he spoke at the General Meeting of Teachers of the St. Martin Academy on Tuesday, August 8th.
Where did time go? It feels like just a few weeks ago that I stood here addressing many of you and welcoming several of you to the new academic year and welcoming some of the teachers, and I just found out that some of you are already here in our midst, to our new country, St. Martin. They say once a teacher, always a teacher. I know this to be the gospel truth, at least like your chairman pointed out, in my case. As some of you, and by now all of you, would already know, I have been a teacher most of my life. Actually, I should say all of my life. And although politics has consumed most of my time and energy in the latter part of my still rather young existence, I can say without doubt that nothing gives me more satisfaction than to run into one of my former students and to be called again, like in the good old days, William Marlin. Just yesterday in the evening, I ran into one of them with not only her daughter, but her two grandchildren as well. Don't start to do the math. Just, I am sure some of you know that feeling. Maybe one or two of you might have been one of my former students, and I look around and I'll come up with a name or two just now. I can assure you, however, that nothing is more satisfying than a huge pay hike, although none of us, including me, would turn that down. Not fewer are the brightest students to teach, not an ultra-modern classroom with the latest technological gadgets, not a beautiful school building in an upscale neighborhood, not any of all these things that we sometimes clamor for. And I am the first to admit that teachers really need some of these to enable them to perform to their best ability. But not any of them, individually or collectively, can be as satisfying to a teacher as the success of his or her students in society. The single most important reward that we as teachers seek is to see our students excel in whatever they eventually become in life. This is because, as English playwright George Bernard Shaw once said, what we want is to see the child in pursuit of knowledge, and not knowledge in pursuit of the child. We all agree, I think, that, as the popular saying goes, knowledge is power. Imparting knowledge to our student means empowering them to face the rigors of life. This is not an easy task. In fact, it is perhaps one of the most difficult things to do in life. Teachers, good teachers, are everything to their students, particularly the teenage students that you have to and will have to deal with. I single out this group because they are at the age of rebellion, of self-discovery, and of knowing it all without any need for advice or counsel from their elders. The modern teenager may even be more challenging, not only to teachers at school, but also to their parents at home. But which one of us hasn't been through that stage in our own lives? It is precisely at this age that students don't care how much you know until they know. It is precisely at this age that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. To put in popular parlance, caring is an essential attribute of a teacher. Maria Montessori put it like this: what really makes a teacher is love for the human child, for it is love that transforms the social duty of the educator into the higher consciousness of a mission. However, let me hasten to stress that it would be unfair to heap all the burden of education on the shoulders of you, the teachers. I totally agree with American author and three-time Pulitzer winner Thomas Friedman when he said, "There is no question that a great teacher can make a huge difference in a student's achievement, and we need to recruit, train, and reward more teachers."
Stay tuned. 30 Minutes with Government continues after these public service announcements. "2017 Atlantic Hurricane Season Storm Names: Arlene, Brett, Cindy, Dawn, Emily, Franklin, Gert, Harvey, Irma, Jose, Katia, Lee, Maria, Nate, Ophelia, Felipe, Rena, Sean, Tammy, Vince, Whitney. The season officially begins on June 1st and will end on November 30th. Be prepared. Remember, it only takes one to make it a bad hurricane season." Welcome back to 30 Minutes with Government. As part of the culmination of a year-long anniversary celebration, the School Board for Secondary Education hosted an educational symposium on Thursday, August 10th, themed Education for the 21st Century and Beyond. Keynote speakers were Alan November, international leader in education and technology, and University of St. Martin President Dr. Francia Guadalupe. As part of her opening address, Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Sylvia Jacobs, implored the audience to open their minds, hearts, and ears to overcome challenges and continue to strive to make St. Martin a learning city.
Our ministry is currently working diligently to get IT into our elementary public schools as a start. Some other school boards have been forerunners and have already introduced IT in their classes in their schools. Some of us have some ancient systems at the back of our rooms. And I was just recounting an experience I had when I was still teaching. That these two elephants at the back of the room, because they were slow, you know, you had to put in a disk drive, you had to do all these things. There was no internet connected to it. But the children kept looking back at it. These students, all of them, had an interest in that machine. Not all of them had one at home. So as an incentive, those that finished their work early, because you always have those, got the opportunity to go on there. So I made sure and I put little programs in that they could plug in and work on. Science, reading, math, whatever it was. Sometimes just, like the geographic, National Geographic type things. So those children live for that. And as I read about Mr. November's book, pieces of it, I realized that these children, even back then, stayed in the recess to play on the computers, didn't want to go home sometimes to play on the computers. They play nowadays on everything that is technology. But even as they're playing, they're learning. And that's something we, the immigrants to the technology world, have to try and understand. They are learning. We just have to direct them to make sure they're learning what they also need to survive. Every day in education, we are preparing them for a world that we do not know. 20, 30 years ago, none of the educators could imagine that today education would be what it was, or that children would learn at the paces that they do. I remember there was a time that the inspectorate said you could not put letters and numbers on the wall in the kindergarten, in the kindergarten. That was a no-no. And though my daughter is 25, by the age of 1.5, 2, she could recognize, she'd pass food center. Who remembers food center? 2 big O's. And she would be like, Mom, there's an O. And I would be like, what? I didn't teach her what an O was. Some little phonics game that she had playing with taught her that. So I'm saying that to say this. Nelson Mandela said it. Education is the most powerful tool that we could use to change the world. But the rate at which the world is changing, we must use IT to keep up. So I'm hoping that this symposium will motivate, will energize you, will make you realize, yes, I'm one of the dinosaurs, but I too can learn. I too can learn. My mom was 66. She definitely did not grow up in the IT world. She was deprived of education, but she educated herself. And when she got the little monster in her room, no, I don't know, come and do this for me, come and do that for me. But once she got it, you couldn't get her off it. And so at the end, she was also in her social media and chatting with family she'd never met all over the world. So I am imploring you, open your minds, your hearts, your ears. It will be a challenge at times, but if we are to be that learning city that we are striving to be, if we continue to want to bring people to St. Martin, not just for sun, sea, and sand, but maybe what is it about, not just the sun, sea, and sand, but the talent, the intelligence of these people, that they continue to grow despite the challenges, that it will start with you. Your attitude will determine how successful your students will be, your attitude as a school board, as a school, as a teacher. You can make the difference. You embrace it, and they will teach you. Have a wonderful learning experience today. See the possibilities, and let us all continue to grow. Thank you.
Visitors to the new government administration building are sure to have noticed over the past few months that there has been quite a bit of renovation activity as you enter the building. The main branch of the Public Service Center is slated to move in the coming weeks once the renovations have been completed. 30 Minutes with Government spoke to the Public Service Center Department Head, Mrs. Emilia Connor-Thomas, on the project.
The renovations or the construction of the Public Service Center on the ground floor of the new government building started around end of April, May. We are expected to complete the construction phase by the end of September, hopefully. We're pretty much ready in time for the departments that are going to render public services to make provisions and be ready for when they move in.
Can you let us know what departments and services will be incorporated under the new Public Service Center here at the Government Administration Building?
The services that will be rendered are those related to labor affairs and social services, so under the Ministry of VSR, We also have economic licenses, which falls under the Ministry of TIAT. Under the Ministry of Education, Youth, Culture, and Sports, the services specifically related to study financing and related applications. And then we have the Ministry of Finance, who also provides a public service component, the Financial Administration Department. And not lastly, the Ministry of ROMI with their related services. And lastly, the Ministry of General Affairs, specifically the Civil Registry Department and their related services.
With all these new services under one roof, we can imagine it might be quite difficult for the general public to navigate initially, to know where they would have to go. What provisions have been made for this?
We will enter into a campaign period so that the public is really informed about the changes and what is expected of the new transition, the transition to the new building. What is expected from the public as much as possible. We want to go over to an appointment system because time is of essence. Time is money, like they say. So we want to work along with the customers so that when they come, they are served. We are investing in technology that will help us manage our customers as much as possible.
With the renovations in the upcoming move, we have already seen notices of certain branches of the Public Service Center or government departments closing to accommodate the move. Can you give us some insight into what branches will be closed, when, and how the move is affecting those services?
Yes, specifically the main branch of the Civil Registry Department. They are moving to the Public Service Center at the new government building. That to accommodate their move between the latter part of August to the first week in September. They will be closed to afford them the opportunity to move. And of course, we are dealing with a lot of sensitive information, hardware that also needs to be moved to the new government building. So that is one of the departments that will be closed for sure. However, we have the Public Service Center in Simpson Bay, where we would try as much as possible to offer the services that the main branch is offering. Of course, the limited services, but that branch would still be opened to the public.
Now, Emilia, there have been simultaneous changes in upgrading to the driver's license and ID card process. There has been a little bit of confusion in the general public as to how this will now work. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
A new system has been purchased and it has already been installed at the Simpson Bay branch for the new driver's license and ID card. Similarly, we will have the same system at the PSC branch at the new government building, and it is expected that as the customer ends that transaction, that application process, and they confirm the information in the application, that he or she will be able to retrieve either their driver's license or the ID card upon completion of their transaction. So indeed, improvements by the means of technology, improvements to service delivery to the general public.
And finally, what can customers look forward to with the move of all of these different departments and services under one roof here at the Government Administration Building?
The main objective of the Public Service Center is to streamline and to centralize as much services the government offers the public under one roof. So basically, the concept of a one-stop shop, we want to realize that concept as much as possible. We also want to ensure that customers enjoy a great customer experience, and we will, as Public Service Center, our main goal is to ensure that that is indeed one of the main objectives. We want to ensure that we offer services at the highest standards, so we are setting standards in the manner in which we provide the services to the public. So professional at higher level of service delivery, whatever it takes to ensure that our customers' experience during that particular transaction is achieved.
Stay tuned. 30 Minutes with Government continues after these public service announcements.
Hi, I'm Giuliani Roberts.
And I'm Amari Phillips, students of the BAC program.
Join us for a special edition of Inside Government, where we will be speaking to Honorable Minister Silveria Jacobs.
August 18th on this channel.
And finally, Finally, Prime Minister William Mullen, as part of a small delegation, welcomed the reigning Miss Senior Carnival Queen, Shanice Powell, at the St. Martin Airport as she returned from representing the island at the Miss Caribbean Culture Queen pageant in Nevis. The Prime Minister extended his congratulations to Miss Powell, who placed second runner-up at the pageant.
But let me officially welcome you back home on behalf of the government and people of St. Martin. Well, let me put it this way. I usually am not a big fan of Queen shows. Coincidentally, the first time I went in the village and root for a carnival contestant was the Member of Parliament here with her camera, Tamara Leonard. That's the first time that I went in the village and actively participated, and I was happy that my queen won and went on to do St. Martin proud in the Caribbean PJD2 Queen pageant. Because of one of my staff members and getting in contact with Anna Rabes, they convinced me to support Posh in their new approach towards bringing additional meaning to Queen competition, Queen contest, and the whole concept of Queens. So we sponsored the Prime Minister's Dinner with the Queens. I must thank Kioma for putting it together along with Anna, and we had a great time with all the queens, the young ones, the teens, the seniors, and the Miss Mature Queen contestants. And we were happy to be there, my wife and I, and we've been following the competition as it went along. We were there on the night you were crowned. We were happy and proud of your accomplishments. And when we understood that you were in financial trouble, again, I dug deep down in the pockets of the ministry, and we were able to provide the needed sponsorship to help you on your tour. I think it is important that we give support because just like we would support a basketball team, we would support a baseball team, we would support boxers. I think if young ladies aspire to participate in Queen shows and in doing so, representing us abroad, I think it is fitting that we as government lend support to that.
This brings us to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes with Government. For video on demand, you can visit the official website of the Government of St. Martin at stmartingov.org. You can also visit our Facebook page and give us a like. And don't forget to set your radio dial to St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM. On behalf of the Department of Communication, I am Giselle Misudan York. We'll see you next time.